finally here. And let me tell you, spoiler alert, the rumors, practically all true. Now listen guys, little secret about me. I don't get excited about cameras often. I like what I like, I pull what I pull, but not often do I really have a camera that really stops me in my tracks. And let me tell you, this is one that does. Now, disclaimer, Sony sent this to me. I've got like 36 hours with this camera, then I gotta send it back. So bear with me on that. Then I was on a production all last week where I was gaff on, where we had 2 FX5s in play and also a Sony Burano. So I've had some hands-on with it. And between the spec sheets and my hands-on experiences, this is a workhorse of a camera. And I would say that Sony has a tendency of making a camera that is kind of future-proof in a way of the FX3 and the FX6, those came out like 5 years ago. They are still one of the #1 cameras that people will buy and people will pull. So I've got a good feeling looking at the FX5 that this is going to be the next future-proof compact cinema camera. So without further ado, my name is Brady. Welcome back to the channel. We got a lot to talk about. I'm not gonna waste your time with all of it. First jump, sensor. Open gate 5K sensor as opposed to our 16:9 4K sensor that we had before. This sensor is beautiful, and it also is a sensor that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it is identical to the Burano. So you start to get a lot of that Burano Venice color science and abilities and looks to it. So 5K, yes, and also open gate, which is huge to get 3x2 open gate. 4 anamorphic support mainly is one of them, but also getting that really true, more squared off look. But for me, I'm using anamorphic a lot, and that was one of the reasons I pulled away from my FX3 on a lot of jobs, was because it didn't really have great anamorphic support. So now it has open gate sensor and supports 1.3, 1.5, 1.6, 1.8, and 2x stretch lenses. So that gets you a lot, especially once you start to get to that 1.5 and 2x stretch. It gets you a lot more sensor to be able to work with all of the character that you're looking for with the lenses. But what we've got here is FX5. We've got this in 3x2 here with a 2x anamorphic. It's the Blaze Arcado 55mm, and it looks like top of frame are kind of just above that neon sign and then down to a little bit here in the street. So reference this, and then when we switch to the FX3, we're gonna see a lot more squish of our frame here. It's gonna be a lot more narrow because we don't have the open gate sensor to work with. And then the size, I feel like there's not a lot to speak on. Girth, we're looking at, you know, honestly, they're about the same. So if I go right on top of each other, FX3 on top, FX5 on bottom, you're getting like a little bit more out of it, a little bit more girth there. And then on the other side, same kind of deal. Almost negligible, honestly. A little bit more thickness to account for whatever internals there are. So that's one thing to note of. 5% weight increase as well, so pretty much negligible. But then the screens. Monitor brightness is set to sunny weather here, so it's set to 15. Okay, terrible example. But look at the size difference between the two of them. Colors are not at all the same right now, but you guys get the idea. Size difference of these is huge. Brightness, you see a definitely big increase as well. But then, you know, whereas the FX3, mine has always been flopping around and kind of broken like this. You get that as an option, but that's pretty much it. Now, we've got variety. We got just a tilt, so you can get these kind of guys. You've also got pull out. You can get a tilt, swivel like that. You put that up. There's all kinds of different options for the monitor. Monitoring is huge for especially a lot of this run and gun stuff like we're doing out here. Getting the camera all sandy. In a perfect environment to be bringing brand new cameras to, right? Sorry, Sony. Guess you're just gonna have to give it to me. Maybe that's the secret. If I get this camera dirty enough and beat it up in the next day I've got it, Sony will just be like, we don't even want this one, just keep it. So we do have the Big 6 that was introduced previously, which we're already familiar with, but it also introduces a totally new layout to where we have everything actually blacked out on the sides rather than having our display on the image when we're looking at director's monitor or anything like that. Now our display is actually on the borders outside, so it's not interfering with our footage, which is so incredibly helpful because we were on like the job we had last week with like 30, 40 people on it. There's monitors everywhere and there's info needed on the screen, but traditionally with the Sonys, info was on the screen blocking the image, but we need the info, so it's either one or the other. But now we actually had a clean image to work off of, both gaffing, directing, and client. And then one of the biggest things for me, a lot of people ask me, what's your favorite thing? Is this button right here, a false color designated button right here. I've got a lens cap on, obviously, so you're seeing all blue, but being able to have false color built in to this as its own little hot button makes me so happy. And it's in such a nice place. Their button layout has moved around, I should mention too. So now we've got everything on the top here, and then a couple things along the side here, but they got rid of this traditional D-pad that we had before, and they replaced it with this Venice Burano inspired dial up here. So you've got like a multifunction dial here, and then you press down. And one thing that is gone now is your function button. Before you had your function button that came up with your like 12 options down there. Now everything just lives on the side. You just hit that button. You go all along all of your tools. So it does take a little bit of getting used to, but there are some changes with your button layout. And then going hand in hand with your false color. False color is used to see if you are clipping your highlights or crunching your shadows. This thing now has 15 stops of dynamic range, and then it says 16 plus stops in dual gain mode. So if you go into your ISO settings, you've got ISO 800 and then also ISO 800 dual gain. So I'm assuming that's where it gets you that extra stop. So when we were on set last week, we were out in desert California where there's bright sun, bright highlights, a lot to be had there. And I don't think we ever clipped. I was on gaff, so I wasn't totally looking at monitor all the time, but I don't think we ever lost information. That's what Lucas, the DP, said, and Armando, who's cam opping, he said the same thing. So just getting that extra stretch, because one of the things I didn't love about the FX3 was kind of that one-stop loss of dynamic range. I felt like it always needed a little bit more, and it just felt a little bit crunchy on the top and low end. But it seems like this has really been fixed or I guess improved on this new sensor and this new camera. And then some notes taken definitely from the FX2. We have a viewfinder, which is amazing. I love working with a viewfinder, especially with bigger cinema bodies, but it is removable. So it just goes right on this top here, like your top handle would similarly, and then it just bolts in with your tooth, and then it communicates immediately, which is amazing that we get to have a viewfinder out of here. And then we've got our top handle as well, which just goes in how the previous top handle went. It is still an audio bottleneck, which I'm kind of sad about, but I guess the one trade-off or caveat that we get is that we now get 32-bit float out of the top handle. So especially when we're working on the fly, run and gun audio, it is very helpful to have 32-bit float, but we are sacrificing all of our audio pretty much through that. So moving on to more, I guess, image-based features would be low light performance, your base ISOs, your codec that it films in. So all of those questions I'm kind of going to answer as one. It does have the new XOCN 16-bit RAW internal, which is huge. I haven't had enough time to really be able to play and push it around, but you're going to be seeing on screen through the whole video how it looks. And just having even a jump from 12 to 16 is huge. The amount of colors that you have, the amount of info that you have in there. It's just a huge upgrade for really anything VFX or post or editing or color grading, etc. So you do have that, and then one of the big things for me is they've introduced 3 base ISO. Previously with the FX3 and even the FX6, you've got 800 and 12,800. And I always felt that 12,000 was too much of a stretch, and I always wanted something. Actually, I shot with a Lumix a lot of the time because I liked how it had that 5,000 second base ISO. So now we have an 800, a 4,000, and a 12,800. 3 base ISO, which is huge to get all of those stops in between. And low light performance, you're seeing how it is on screen. I can't speak on it right here, right now, but I'm gonna be out on Moab tomorrow shooting a lot of star stuff, night stuff, anything like that, to really be able to see how clean this is in camera. And then one thing I need to mention that I think I like, I'm not quite sure on, is the new battery. They did introduce a new battery. I don't know exactly which one it's called, but essentially I think it gets you like 20 or 30 minutes more of recording time, so that's fantastic. But for me, I don't know about you, I've got like 10 or 11 of my FX3 batteries because I got a ton of alpha cameras. It's so great to just have a huge arsenal and never have to worry. So that does mean getting all new batteries, which is fine. Half the time I'll have this built out for a whole rig anyway as it is. It is a little bit of a bummer, but I do see, it's kind of like USB-C and switching over when we did a handful of years ago. It's kind of just accepting the change as things evolve. And then cards, we've got the same as FX3. They didn't change it. Two CF type A on top and bottom that can also be used as SD V90. So that is pretty standard. On the side here, We do have Ethernet, which is, I guess, an exciting add-on. I don't really use Ethernet as it is. Ethernet, HDMI, and then we've got some of these guys on the side, 2 USB-C ports along the side, which is actually going to be very helpful for, I'm sure, a lot of people. I still would love to have SDI. I don't know how you would even build in SDI to such a small body, and I understand that the FX6 is there, but I much prefer SDI over HDMI, but that is just myself. Another thing that I'm actually just noticing right now is you've got twin quarter 20 threads on the bottom here. So originally you had to perfectly line up your base plate, and I don't know why anybody didn't do this sooner, but now you know that you're gonna have 2 bolts into your base plate and you can have it directly linear and you don't have to worry about that. This is actually a really huge add-on that I feel like nobody talked about because I just saw it for the first time here. So I will say again and again, I am incredibly excited for this camera. I will be buying this camera as soon as I can, and this probably will, I'm not selling my FX3, but it will probably replace it in a lot of uses. I don't think I'll ever sell it because it is such a workhorse, and I'm so excited to have FX3, FX5, FX6 all in one package because I actually have done 3 camera on a lot of jobs, so it'll be nice to have. But who is this for? I think that this really is starting to change from just being this like content dock camera as the FX3 once was, and by having this more Burano Venice color profile to it, it really starts to get into this narrative world or this narrative crash cam world or special shot world, even more so than the FX3 already did. My one caveat with the FX3 was always like, it just felt a little bit crunchy or commercial. It didn't quite have like the look, you know what I'm talking about. In this one, as far as what I've seen, it really does just get it more in that direction to that somebody like me shooting narrative really likes. So I don't have much negative. I'm sure I could pick out and be like, oh, well, this or that or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is a sub $5,000 mirrorless body that is a workhorse of a camera that is going to be very future-proofed years down the line. So the question is, will you be getting this? I certainly will be getting this. Sony, if you want to let me keep this, I would be glad to do so. But I think I'm going to step in line with you guys. So I love you all. Let me know your thoughts on this camera. It is a workhorse. I can't wait to continue shooting with this for many days, years, months to come. My name is Brady. I'm going to bed. It is freaking 2:15 in the morning. Long day. And well, I love you all, and good night.